Hey, it's me. I'm just calling to say it's really not that deep.
Welcome back to Not That Deep podcast, and this is episode 3. But before we even get into today's episode, I just want to say thank you, because genuinely I wasn't sure if anyone was going to even listen to this podcast. Honestly, one night I just randomly thought, let's start a podcast, let's do it raw, unfiltered and honest, and try and not to overthink it too much. Also, who's even going to care, who's going to relate to it? Is this just me trauma dumping into my microphone? Yeah, the messages that I've had, people sharing it, voice notes, people telling me that it felt like I was literally in their head saying what they needed to hear. I can't even explain how much it means to me, because I'm not doing this for likes or to be viral or to be famous or whatever. I'm just making it because I know how it feels to be someone that is outgrowing things and has no one saying this stuff out loud, or building a business and no one saying this out loud, and it just, hearing the feedback makes everything really worth it. So thank you, I love you so much. We are besties now. Yeah, let's get into episode 3. So this episode, I feel like it's a little different. I'm just gonna let things kind of pour out, because I'm in the middle of it right now. This episode isn't going to be me talking about a struggle that I've had 2 years ago, or talking about an experience that I've had in the past and tying up with like a cute little lesson of what I learned and how you can change and blah 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 blah. This is literally just me sat in my living room trying to rewire my brain whilst rebuilding my business from scratch, wondering where the results are. And I'm not gonna lie, it's a weird space to be in. I feel like I'm doing everything that I know to do. I'm showing up, I'm stretching myself, I'm healing, I'm changing how I think, I'm taking aligned action, and it's just quiet, like crickets. Things are quiet. And this is where I think a lot of people give up. People decide that maybe it's not for them. And it's hard, but I know this part. I've been here before, and I feel this is a bit that no one really talks about properly. Everyone talks about how hard it is to start a business. Everyone talks about, or even not even a business, like anything, like how hard it is to start something new. And everyone talks about the wins and the glow ups, and no one really talks about the in-between stage where your life is shifting internally. Nothing external has caught up yet, and it's really awkward, and it's uncomfy, it's boring, it's hard. And I felt this before. I felt this building my very first online business years ago when I was selling an actual product, and I felt it again when I first started building my freelance business. And now I'm feeling it again rebuilding my agency. And yeah, I could wait until I'm on the other side and then share this from a place of here's what worked for me and buy my course and blah blah blah. But what's the point in that? You don't need to listen to someone who's telling you from that place. You need someone who's telling you that this bit, this awkward, quiet middle part, is actually part of the process, and it's where most people quit. But if you don't quit, everything is going to change. That's like the only option, really. You just need to keep pushing. And this episode is for the person who is in the middle, not at the start, not at the finish line, just there, where everything's shifting internally, nothing's moving on the outside, where you start to question everything, where you keep going even when there's no applause and no one's telling you how amazing that you are or how well things are, and there's no results, and when it's hard to trust that it's working because you can't see anything. That's where I'm at, and I want to record it from here, not after, when everything's wrapped up and looking amazing, but now, because I feel this part deserves space as well. So yeah, let's talk about it. Let's talk about what it really feels like to do the work and not have the results yet, and why this is where the shift happens if you let it. And this is where it's like you're journaling, you're getting your mindset right, you're building your business, you're being consistent, you're posting online, you're waking up early, you're saying no to old habits, and the universe is just silent. And it makes you want to scream, like, where is the return? Hello, I'm doing everything right. And I get it. It just takes time. Trust the process. Yeah, I know. But can the process at least show itself just a little bit? No, I'm just kidding. I feel like I'm very good right now at falling in love with the process. But I think that sometimes it would be so much easier if there was a little hint that things are working. And right now it feels like I'm doing all this shit and I'm just doing it into like the thin air. And I know that that's part of it. And I know that results don't come straight away, but it feels different when you're in it. It feels different when you are in the thick of it. And I've had some breakdowns, I've had some tears, and no one's clapping for you. And sometimes you think maybe it's not working this time. And I feel like I have been there recently. And I just want to be honest, online it's so easy to skip over this bit. Everyone just shows the before and the after. And they're like, a year ago I was broke and now I'm earning 50 grand a month. And everyone's like, that's amazing. And then you see that stuff and you feel like, what have you done wrong, or why are you not there yet? And I just want to know, cool, where's the bit in between where you were crying on the kitchen floor and doubting everything? And where is that story? And that's the bit that I care about. That's the bit that we need to hear more of, because that's the part where we probably live, like it feels like we're living there for the longest. And that's where I'm at right now. Literally right now. This week, I'm here. I'm showing up. No one's clapping. I'm rebuilding my business. There's no momentum. I'm posting. It's like a ghost town. My brain keeps trying to feed me the old narrative. Like, maybe you're not meant to do this anymore. Maybe this isn't a passion of yours. Maybe you've lost your touch. Maybe you're not aligned. Maybe you should go and get a normal job. It's just not for me. But I literally have to fight myself every morning. Not in like a toxic way, but just in like I have to fight the thoughts, because the version of me that I'm trying to become doesn't entertain that shit. She doesn't spiral when things are quiet. She still shows up. And that's what I'm doing. I'm still showing up and still trusting the process. Like, I know that there's bigger things than me that have my best interests at heart. And I'm just acting like it's working. That's what I'm trying to do. Some days I get it right. Some days I actually feel like her and I wake up and I'm like, yeah, let's go. And other days I feel like I'm fully checked out and I'm anxious and I'm tired and I'm irritated and I start thinking about quitting everything and moving to a random island. And yeah, you just have to ride the wave, okay? You just have to ride the wave. And that is what it's all about. And I guess the biggest thing that I've been thinking about is how much of our lives are actually shaped by what we do in this part. Who do we become in this part? And that's the part that I'm trying to fall in love with. That's the part that I'm really trying to trust. Not the wins, not all the launches, not the milestones, but the in between. What do you do when nothing is happening? Who do you become when no one's watching? How do you carry yourself when you have zero validation? Because that's who you really are. When you're going through any hard times or when you're trying to build something, you have to outgrow things that don't serve you. And honestly, like, I didn't like my answers a few years ago. I realized that I was letting that silence mean something. Like, no one was inquiring. I took it personally. If a post flopped, then I assumed that I wasn't good enough. If I launched something, it didn't go well, I would spiral and get upset. And I had to let that version of me go, because she was addicted to feedback and praise all the time, and she always had to have proof before she could believe in herself. And that's not how you build something sustainable. If you're constantly chasing validation, you're not going to achieve anything. You're going to burn yourself out. You're going to shrink yourself. You're going to question everything. Anytime that something doesn't land, you're going to question your worth. And I'm just done with that. That's not who I am anymore. I'm learning now to hold in the silence, to be okay when things are slower, to keep showing up even when no one replies, or when a client ghosts you, or you're sending proposals and you're getting no's and no's, even when the money's not there, even when it feels like everyone else is ahead. Because that's the only way through it. The only way through it is not to skip the middle part. You have to live through it, and you have to fall in love with that process and the person that you become in that process. You grow through it, and then one day you're going to look back and you're just going to say, oh, that was the moment that everything started to change, and that's the person that made me who I am today. And I'm not at that day yet. And that's why it does make this episode a little weird to record, because I haven't made it out yet. You could be listening to me thinking like, what do you know? You don't know shit. You don't have the answers. And I don't know shit, to be honest. I'm just sharing with you what I'm going through. But I also know that I have trust. I have belief, and that is enough for now. And this is not the first time that I felt like this. I've been here before. It just feels like it is sometimes, because this is a new version of me that's going through it. I have been in this energy before. I have been in this situation before when I'm building something. The first business I ever started, I remember I was being consistent for months. Religiously, I was showing up, I was making content, I was selling my products, I was sharing so much value, so much behind the scenes. I was so focused. I remember like finishing work and spending hours on Instagram and creating Canva graphics, and I was so focused and I was doing everything and I was getting nothing back, and it was literally crickets. I'm not even being dramatic. Silence, no one buying my products, no feedback, no momentum. And I remember thinking like, okay, that's just going to be how it is then. And then one day, randomly, it all hit at once. Everything came at once. I started getting orders. I grew my business. I remember I was just like, boom, someone ordered something, then another, and another, and another, and suddenly there was traction. And it was just slow, and then all at once it was momentum. And now that I've experienced that, I don't really doubt whether the momentum will come. I know that it will. But I feel like this version of me still struggles sometimes when it's not happening. I have to quiet that voice in my head that tells me that it's not good enough. But especially because when I first started out in my freelance business, everything happened so fast. I literally was fully booked within 12 weeks. And I find that insane now that I think about it, but it set that expectation. If you do things right, you're going to get results straight away. But to be honest, it happened so quick, but it happened so wrong at the same time. And I wasn't in a good place. It burnt me out. I wasn't working with people that I was aligned with, and I took on too much. And I feel like in this chapter, I'm doing things right. I'm more aligned. I'm more strategic. I'm more intentional, and it's slow. And I think it's because I'm having to relearn everything about myself and my business, and that my brain keeps like saying, this isn't how it's supposed to go, you've already proved yourself, like why is it taking longer now? And it does mess with me because I know that I'm doing it better this time. I know that this time I am coming from a way better place, and I know this time it's going to be way more sustainable, but the results aren't coming faster, they're actually slower. And I guess the realization that I'm trying to get across here, and that I've had recently, is that this season of life, for me anyway, isn't about speed. It's about depth. It's about not proving myself anymore. It's about building something that actually feels right, something that's going to last. And that doesn't always happen quickly. Sometimes slow is safe, and sometimes silence means that you are building something that's going to be real and that's going to last. And I feel like that's really important. I just need to keep reminding myself that. So I want you to remind yourself that too. If you're in the middle of something and it's not happening as quick as you like, then just keep reminding yourself that it's okay. Yeah, it's frustrating because I know what it's like when things just flow. I've had those seasons where everything just pops off and clients are coming in left, right, and center, and everything clicks. Or even if it's not even in a business situation, like in health or anything, sometimes things do happen quickly, and other times you have to just be patient and wait for everything to click. And now that I'm back in that before space in the middle, I have so much more self-awareness. There is more pressure because I know what I'm capable of. I'm not seeing it reflected back to me yet, and that's a really weird headspace to be in because I'm not a beginner. I'm not starting from scratch. I'm starting again, but this time from a place where I have different knowledge, and I feel like that's a different kind of uncomfortable. But I've been here before. The crickets, the silence, why the fuck isn't this working energy? And it's always right before things click, always. So yeah, right now I'm just kind of sitting in the discomfort. I'm choosing not to assign meaning to this quiet. It's not failure. It's not some sign. It's just part of it. And I know that I've done it before and I can do it again. And this time even better. But I just want to remind you that if you're there too, then just be patient, keep going. This time, do it better, do it with alignment, do it with self-trust, even if no one sees it yet. This is the part where most people quit. And I'm not saying this in like a preachy, motivational, just keep going, have faith, blah, blah, blah. I actually mean just fall in love with the doing, fall in love with the actions, and fall in love with the part of you that's showing up, who you become in that process, because everything happens for a bigger purpose. Everything happens for a purpose that even you don't know, and it's shaping you to become the person that you need to be to have the results, to have the success. I always think about that. Am I the version of myself that's ready for the results yet? No, but I'm shaping into that person, and keep showing up as that higher version of yourself even when there isn't results, and try not to take the silence personally. Try not to assign meaning to it, and definitely don't quit. And most people don't even quit in like some big dramatic having a meltdown and I'm finishing my business and blah blah blah. Most people just stop showing up subtly. I've done it myself. They just start slacking on the habits. They stop creating. They scroll more. They say, I'll try again next month, or they'll let one weekend off and put them off for the week. They'll slowly fall back into the discomfort. And I've done that before. I've done it more than once, so many times actually. And I've literally been right on the edge of something working, and then on some random Tuesday decide, nah, I'm going to do something else today, and then never getting back into it. And I look back now and I always think that was the test. That was the moment that the old version of me said, you sure about this? And it won. And I backed down and I gave up. And I think that sometimes I do end up shrinking back into that old version of you. And I said to myself, oh, I'll start again when things are easier, when things are perfect. And guess what? Nothing is ever easier. Nothing's ever perfect. This part, this awkward, boring, silent middle part, this is the thing. This part is either where something doesn't work or it turns into something amazing. This is where you build the proof that you believe in yourself. Because when there's no feedback, that's when you find out, do you actually trust your vision or not? And I know it's really hard, but do you actually trust what you're building? I feel like I'm literally talking to myself right now. This is why these podcasts are amazing, because I just feel like I give myself a pep talk. And there are days when I wake up and I'm like, this is stupid, no one cares, why are you trying? It takes everything to not let that voice win sometimes, because the reality is, it's not that it's not working, it's that sometimes it's not fast enough for your ego. My ego. I don't even know who needs to hear this. Probably me again. But speed doesn't equal success. Consistency does, and who you become in that process. Energy does. Who are you? What are you putting out? Are you aligned? All of that to me equals success. And I think the reason that so many people sabotage right now in this middle bit is because we're so addicted to feedback. We're so addicted to the validation, the likes, the ego, the messages, the clients, the numbers, the income goals. I remember I used to sit when my business was doing amazing. I would refresh my Stripe and be like, wow, look at all this money. And all of that is like dopamine. And it's like, you want someone that says like, you're doing things right. And when that doesn't come, you think you must be doing it wrong. But what happens if you are doing it perfectly right? You're just not meant to see the outcome yet. Because what if this exact season is building the version of you that can hold what's coming? Because that's the bit that's important. You don't need to just receive the success. You need to be able to hold it. So if you can't hold this silence, if you can't hold the moment that of not being seen or not being celebrated or chosen, then how are you going to hold the next chapter? How are you going to be the person that you need to be to hold that success and to have it sustainable? And trust me, I say that with love, because I have learned the hard way. I've gotten the quick wins before and then lost the momentum just as fast because I wasn't anchored. I was still relying on the outcome to keep me confident. And that's not real power. That is not self-trust. Real self-trust is showing up when no one's watching. Real power is deciding it's working without the proof. And real growth is saying, I'm not going anywhere, even when you want to, even when your body and your mind's telling you to shut down, to stop. So yeah, this is the part where most people give up. And that's why you won't, because you are not the version of you that gives up. You're not the version of you that needs external validation to feel safe. You are the person who's building safety within herself. And that's scary. It's actually really scary. It is terrifying, but it's also where everything changes. So if you're listening to this and you're thinking, fuck it, what's the point? And you're in that headspace where you want to give up, this is your sign to stay. You don't need to hustle harder. You don't need to burn out. Just stay in it. Keep showing up, even if it's small. Keep holding that energy, because it's adding up, even if you can't see it yet. It's all compounding, and you don't get to skip the part where it's slow, but you do get to decide that it's worth it. Gosh, that was one hell of a pep talk. That was one hell of a pep talk. Okay, so this thought literally made me reevaluate my entire life, and I don't even mean that lightly. Genuinely, I was like, wait, what if everything that I'm struggling with isn't even mine anymore? What if the reason that I keep failing or having resistance or feeling stuck or spiraling, nothing's working, is literally because I'm still thinking like the old version of me? And I know that I say this stuff all the time. We talk about mindset and identity and shifting your beliefs, but I feel like Most people are walking around thinking that they're in the present. They think that they're here in the present. They are physically, but actually they're just reliving the past on autopilot. Their thoughts. They're living inside past thought patterns formed by past experiences, formed by your environment, your upbringing, whatever people said to you, what you believed about yourself, what you believed about life, what you believed about the world, in moments that you didn't even realize you were making decisions, and you never challenged those thoughts and never looked at them. They just kept repeating and looping. So now you're here trying to create a new life, but you're doing it from the emotional state of your past self, your past experiences. You're saying that you want more. You're building your business. You're doing whatever it is. I do always go back to the business thing because that's where I'm at. But like whatever journey that you're in, you're building something. You're showing up, but underneath that, you're still operating from the identity of someone who isn't enough, from someone who is burnt out or who's bad with money, who's invisible, who's not confident, someone who has to try hard to be chosen or liked or whatever it is, or has to change themselves or mold themselves, and then you wonder why things aren't sticking, why things feel off. Here's the plot twist. You don't have to wait for your future to happen. You can live in the future now, right now. You can literally reprogram your mind to create new thought patterns, new emotional states, new experiences in your body before any of it actually happens. You don't have to wait for evidence. You just have to start thinking like the version of you that already has it, and then you keep thinking like her, and then you rehearse those thoughts until they feel realer than the old ones, and then that's the shift. And I've done this before without even realizing I was doing it. I look back on times where things have changed for me, and it always starts with my internal world changing first. And it's literally science, okay? Like Joe Dispenza literally says, to change your personal reality, you have to change your personality. And when I heard that, I was like, I don't understand, doesn't make sense. But when it lands, like it lands. And your personality is just your repeated thoughts, your feelings, behaviors, all those things that shape who you are as a person. So if you're not becoming someone different internally, your reality is going to keep looking the same. Even if the outside stuff changes a little bit or tweaks here and there, it's not going to hold because you're still operating from a previous version of yourself. Your inner world doesn't match. So you're going to sabotage it. You're like, think about people that win the lottery and they have all that money, and then within like a few months it's gone because they haven't caught up with that internal world yet. They haven't changed. And your nervous system's not going to feel safe. Like I spoke about last week, like, you're going to go back to what's familiar. And that's the other bit that no one teaches you, the body side of it, because when you've repeated certain emotional patterns for so long, your body learns them. Your hormones get addicted to those states. You feel like yourself when you're anxious. You feel like yourself when you're stressed. When you're chasing, when you're constantly trying to chase and hustle, when you're in lack, when you're overthinking. And then when you're trying to shift into peace or confidence or trust, your body's like, actually, that's not us. I don't know who that is. That's not me. It sends you signals. Your chest tightens, your stomach drops, your heart races, and you take that as a sign. Oh, it's a sign. It's a sign. This must not be aligned. And let's be clear, I bloody love a sign. I have 1111 tattooed on me, but that's not a sign, okay? It's just unfamiliar, and people then think like, oh, it doesn't feel good, and they stop and they think that being uncomfortable means don't, but actually it means keep going, okay? You have to train your body to feel safe being a new version of you. You have to. And that doesn't happen by thinking about it once. It happens by thinking like every single day, by choosing it in real time. Even this morning, prime example, I came back from the gym, there was nothing really in the fridge to eat. I was so close to getting my sourdough and making toast and jam. And then I thought, you know what, actually, I've got like a lot of goals right now and I don't want to be eating toast and jam for breakfast. So I made myself sourdough with tomato and mozzarella and basil, and that's when the old thoughts come in. You stop them and then you notice them, and then you start making different decisions. You start thinking, wait, that's not me anymore. I don't eat toast and jam for breakfast. Sometimes I do, I love toast and jam, but that's an old pattern. That's not who I am now. And then you replace it, and it feels weird at first, but you keep doing it, and eventually the new thought feels more normal than the old one, because then it does, because it's normal then. And that's when your nervous system chills out and your body starts believing you. So many times now I say to myself, like, I have to stop myself in my tracks and be like, is this serving my goals? And When you just start repeatedly making those new decisions, your nervous system chills out. It's like, okay, cool, we're here now. And that's when everything changes. But I know that it's not cute at the beginning. It's uncomfortable. It's not instant. There's no moment when someone's like, yay, and another little decision that you've made. It's just internally, you just know what's happening. And then one day, you just notice that you're not having the same reactions as you used to. You're not chasing how you used to. You are not spiraling or feeling like shit all the time. And that's when you know that it's working. And that's what I'm doing right now in real time. This is not me talking from the other side. This is me literally doing the rewiring every single day. Every day, rewiring. And it's hard. It's actually hard work. Sometimes I think like would it be so much easier just to stagnate? But then it wouldn't be in the long run. It'd be miserable in the long run. But the old version of me sometimes does want to take over. She wants to run this show. She wants to panic and shrink and compare and say this isn't working. And I have to literally go, no. I have to literally say to myself, no, we don't think like that anymore. We are building from the future now, not the past, the future. So now every single day, what thoughts am I choosing? Are they aligned with where I'm going? Are they dragging me back to where I've been? Even stuck in traffic sometimes. Like most people get stuck in traffic and it's stressful, and this person, they're swearing and they're beeping and it's stressful, and it's like, oh my god, like I hate being in the car like that because that's like you don't feel good. Or you can choose to say, you know what, I'm here, I'm present, I'm safe. And that's a decision. It's not like a one-time thing. It's every day, every moment. That's the cheat code. Sometimes I look at life and I'm literally like, imagine life is a video game, okay? And if you're just walking around choosing the same controls, you're going to have the same results every single time. It's like you're going to play the same level over and over and over again because you keep using the same commands. But the minute that you start thinking differently and you think, okay, what's the next level? I have that next level identity, and before that you even feel ready, you open up a whole different path. Like how many times do you play a video game and you lose the level 10 times, and the next time you go you're like, right, I know what I've got to do differently now. I'm going to act differently this time, and then you get to the next level, and that is literally it. Just think of it like a game, okay? You don't want to keep living in loops. You don't want to keep repeating old patterns, calling it reality. You want to start living up as that version of you that you know you can be right now. The version of you who is peaceful, who's powerful, who's booked out, who's magnetic, who walks into a room and doesn't shrink, who trusts herself, himself, who thinks clear, grounded, intentional thoughts. Gosh, I get so passionate about this. Who isn't reactive, who moves slow, who's confident, and who knows everything is working in their favor. I want to be her right now, okay? And I am. And to become her, I have to think like her. Not after I get the results, before. Oh, who knew I was so passionate about living in the future? And I guess that's what I'm doing, and I have been doing for years, but now I'm fully aware of the stuff that's kept me stuck. I'm fully aware of the thoughts and the behaviours and the patterns that kept me stuck in a past, and that stuff is not mine anymore, okay? Those old beliefs just hung around because I never kicked them out. I never said stop. I never questioned them, and I let them win, and now I'm done. I'm choosing different, and every time that it feels hard or scary or new, I remind myself it's meant to feel weird, okay? Because it's not normal. It's the upgrade. It's the next level, okay? It's meant to feel weird. This is the identity shift. And the only way out is through. So yeah, I just had to say that. I just had to get that off my chest. And it's been changing the way that I move, and I hope that it clicks for you too. Like, just now when you're doing things, start to question, is that a next level me move? Is that it's going to get me where I want to be? Is sitting on the couch eating 10 bars of chocolate going to get me where I want to be when I just said that I want to lose weight? No. And your new life is ready for you whenever you're ready for it, okay? And I really hope that you don't wait for the proof, because you have the power to create the proof. You have to start thinking like that version now. You have to do it even when no one's watching, even when it feels scary, and I hope that you do, because it is scary, it is uncomfortable, but it's also so beautiful. And sometimes I just need to sit in the discomfort and let it be. It's just, even if it's just uncomfortable, just like to yourself, I know it's uncomfortable, putting yourself out there is scary, but it's just your nervous system trying to adjust back to safety. Because the real change isn't going to be waking up one morning and just feeling like love and light. It's literally reconditioning your emotional baseline, and your body needs time to learn that safety doesn't come from being on edge all the time. It can actually come from being still and from trusting yourself and being regulated and slowing down and not forcing things. And that's something that I'm still learning. I used to think that being uncomfortable meant that I was doing something wrong. If something didn't feel good right away, then it must be not aligned. But now I'm realizing no. It just means that I've not felt this enough times yet. So it doesn't feel like me, but it will. Like when I was younger, I used to crash out. Obviously, like teenager, hormones, whatever, I used to crash out and I would get so mad and I would scream and I would shout. And I've not been like that in years and years and years. But like, at one point, that was so normal for me. But then one day I just said I don't want to act like that anymore, and I was very intentional. So now if I feel myself I'm going to get worked up, I remove myself or I breathe or whatever. And now if I was to scream and shout at someone, like that would feel weird for me. That would be weird. I don't know who that person is, but there was a time where that was me. Or even just going to the gym every day. At one point that would have been weird to turn up to the gym, but now I've been doing that so often that it's normal to go there. Do you know what I mean? So it's just about like not surrendering to those previous thoughts just because they're familiar, and not choosing emotions just because they're familiar. Even if it feels uncomfortable at first, there's going to be a time where it's going to become normal, and then that previous version of you, that's then going to be like, oh, that's weird, I would never do that. Like, even just things like food choices, habits, all those things over the years that I've shifted and changed. If I was to go back to doing those things now, that's weird. And it's okay to feel a little bit off center whilst you recalibrate. And the tension that you feel, if you feel resistance, if you feel doubt, it's just a sign that something's shifting, something's changing. And it's actually supposed to be like that. It doesn't mean that it's not aligned or not meant to be that way. You're not doing things wrong. You're just doing something different. And different doesn't always feel good at first. It just feels different. But the way that I've been seeing it recently is like, if you can hold this space without running away or without numbing or spiraling, then you can literally train your nervous system that the new version of you is safe. And once it feels safe, it becomes normal. And once it becomes normal, everything clicks into place. Your thoughts, your behavior, your energy, it all aligns. And then one day you wake up and you're like, oh, I'm not pretending to be that person anymore. Like, I am that person. It's not a performance. It's just who I've become. And that's like all these little habits and changes that you can make start to lead up to be that person. So I guess that's where I'm at right now. I'm learning to hold it. I am learning to sit in the discomfort of becoming. I am learning to stop interpreting every tight chest and overthinking as a red flag, and instead be like, cool, this is just the data leaving my body, my system is recalibrating, and this is just the growth, the messy middle, and that's okay. And there's a quote that I absolutely love, and the quote, I think it's from the 5 a.m. Club. It says, change is hard at first, messy in the middle, and glorious at the end. And I know that I'm not at the end yet, but I'm also not at the start either. I'm in it, and I'm proud of that. And I'm proud of that because most people don't make it this far. And if you're in it too, then I just want to say that you're not doing it wrong. You're just doing something new. And this is exactly what it's supposed to feel like. That was a long-winded spiel, but I feel like I needed to hear that, so I'm hoping that you needed to hear it too. Let's just finish this episode with some shit that I learned this week. Just from being inside my own brain and navigating the same things a few times. They're not like huge revelations, but they just help me stay grounded in a season where everything feels kind of quiet and internal. So yeah, maybe one of these things will land for you too. But the first thing is that something that stuck with me recently and that I need to keep reminding myself is not everything has to mean something. And I say this as someone who internalizes everything. When you're evolving, when you're growing, when you're doing this level of inner work, you start to question every single thing. You feel like any weird emotion or feeling in your chest and you're like, oh my God, is this aligned? Am I forcing it? Why do I feel resistance? Is this a sign? Or what's the universe trying to show me? And don't get me wrong, I love that about myself. I love that I'm so reflective and self-aware and I'm constantly unpacking things that most people would just brush over. I love that about myself, but also sometimes it's exhausting and sometimes I've got to remind myself that it's okay to feel weird and not assign meaning to it, okay? Like sometimes it's okay not to dissect every single emotion. Like you're allowed to just live life and you're allowed to just be. And I think there's power in knowing when to go deep and there's power in knowing when to just not, okay? as this podcast is called, it's really not that deep. Not everything is a sign. It's not that deep. Sometimes your nervous system is just tired and you just need to go outside and you need to eat something and you need to stop thinking so hard about life. And I feel like I had to remind myself, I feel like I'm learning that right now, is not everything's a sign. I see 11:11 on the microwave and I'm thinking that it's a sign. The next thing also is momentum doesn't feel like momentum when you're in it. I always think it's going to feel like magic or flow or clarity or be some obvious moment, but actually it just feels like effort. Momentum just feels like doing the same thing again and again and not seeing change and still doing it anyway. And when I say the same thing, I mean like the same actions or habits to get you where you need to be. You're going to feel like it's not working and one day it's going to just click. And you're going to look back and realize I was in momentum the whole time. I just didn't know it. This is momentum. And I think like it's just one small action repeated, one foot in front of the other. That's momentum. So don't stop just because it doesn't feel like, oh, this big revelation, like this part counts too. The last thing is this new version of you is going to feel weird. It's going to feel awkward. And I have to keep reminding myself of that. Sometimes I'm thinking, is this aligned? Am I performing? Is this real? And if you're not performing, you're just becoming, and it's going to feel clunky for a bit. It's going to feel weird. Doesn't mean that you're doing it wrong. It just means that you're not used to it yet. So just keep going. And remember that you can choose at any point in your life to become a whole different person, to have different beliefs, different actions. If your life isn't serving you anymore, just change your beliefs and your actions. And if people don't like that, then that's not their problem, because sometimes people are going to resist it. If you're a person that has been a certain way for people and you change, then people will resist that, but just keep going. And yeah, that's all I can say. But if you're still here, if you're still showing up, if you're still choosing better thoughts, even when it's quiet, even when it's awkward, even when no one's clapping, I'm proud of you. This is the hardest part, the part that no one sees, but this is the part that builds everything. So do something this week that your future self will thank you for, even if it's small, even if it's behind the scenes, even if no one sees it but you, because your goals are already in motion. You're not waiting for them. You are achieving them. And every choice that you're making now is just proof. It's building that proof of who you're becoming. So I love you. I will see you next week. Thanks for listening. Bye. Bye.